Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sunipro Roundtables, a series where we discuss top-of-mind subjects with industry experts. My name is Pranav Patel, Managing Director at Sunipro. Thank you again for joining us. Topic today is a very familiar one that continues to rapidly change and evolve, cybersecurity. Cyber attacks are becoming relentless, dominating news cycles with alarming frequency. From meticulously crafted phishing scams to AI-driven malware, cyber threats are leveraging emerging technology to infiltrate, disrupt, and compromise digital infrastructures with unprecedented efficiency and sophistication. And in this edition of Sunipro Roundtables, we delve into the latest trends and tools, the best practices for technology implementation, and just important as the tech, how we integrate the technology into our organizations. Now, to guide us through this discussion, I'd like to introduce Christian Badea.
Thank you, Pranav. I'd like to introduce our speakers for this episode, starting with Eric Rudiger, Senior Manager at Sunipro, Benjamin Mathew, our cybersecurity expert, and Pranav Patel. I want to begin with trends and tools with Eric. Eric, could you highlight some of the most pressing cybersecurity trends shaping the business landscape today, and what tools or technologies do you recommend to counter these emerging threats?
Thanks, Christian. Yeah, as Pranav mentioned, cybersecurity news coverage seems to be increasing every year. And that's really due to the overwhelming number of cyber attacks hitting high-profile companies and organizations, compromising client data, resulting in billions of dollars of ransoms paid out. I don't know if you guys watched the Masters yesterday, but right after 60 Minutes, their first segment was on the Scattered Spider hacker group and went all through the latest Las Vegas ransomware attacks and how they're infiltrating companies around the world. So obviously a timely topic to be discussing today. When we think about the total cost of cybersecurity, experts estimate that cyber attacks, including ransomware, phishing, insider threats, have cost the world economy $8 trillion just in 2023. And that's expected to rise, reaching 18 trillion by 2030. So that increase that we talked about, we're hearing it on the news all the time. There's several factors driving that. One of those is the adoption and application of artificial intelligence, which we'll talk about in a bit. But another key driver is the remote work culture that we've all, become accustomed to as a result of COVID lockdowns. A lot of companies adopted either a fully or hybrid remote work culture, stemming from COVID and after that. But they really haven't put in the tools, policies, procedures, what have you, to address the cybersecurity risks that come with that. So unfortunately, hackers are able to use multiple VPNs and other tools to infiltrate this disparate work environment that we're all living in today. As I mentioned, AI is both the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity when we think about cybersecurity. Hackers can use AI to increase their efficiency and effectiveness of their attacks, but companies can use AI and cybersecurity tools can use AI similarly to address those potential hacks. So we see, AI all over the news across the board, but cybersecurity is, really a key piece that AI is being implemented in. And specifically, generative AI is becoming a critical component in, specifically cloud security, but across, again, the cybersecurity landscape. So a lot going on.
Okay, Eric, you talked about AI broadly, but what should consumers be looking for in a tool?
Sure. Yeah, I think the first thing to remember is not one cybersecurity tool is going to protect you from everything. There's a number of different types of cybersecurity attacks. We talked about ransomware briefly, but malware, I'm sure most people are familiar with that. Phishing, denial of service, there are several others. Unfortunately, there's really no one tool that can address or mitigate all of those. So we always recommend a multi-tool approach for any organization. Really need to identify and assess within your organization what are the most critical or vulnerable components of your business, what attacks could be most detrimental, and then look for those best-in-class cybersecurity tools. Anyone that's offering like a one-size-fits-all protects against everything, like most things, that's probably not realistic. That marketing may be a little bit skewed. So again, figuring out where your vulnerabilities are, and then looking again for those the best tools and offerings in the industry at that time. The other thing to remember is that it needs to protect both against external threats and insider threats. Insiders may be employees or contractors. Unfortunately, a lot of previous cybersecurity attacks have been due to insider, bad actors, what have you. So something to consider there. And then finally, we need to make sure that that tool does not disrupt your, business as usual, or will be able to be implemented in a way that doesn't hinder your organization from doing the work that you do. So when we think about policies and standards, all of that needs to be factored in when evaluating tools. The other thing is just, again, that integration of communication, flow of business critical information, all of that needs to be factored in and ensure that what you're implementing allows you to continue to operate as an entity.
Well, thanks, Eric, for that overview on trends and features. With that, I'd like to switch gears now to Benjamin. Benjamin, could you outline the fundamental technical setup required to bolster an organization's cybersecurity defenses? How do these initial configurations lay the groundwork for effective threat mitigation and incident response?
Yeah, those are really great questions, Christian. I think at the core of cybersecurity, you very much need to understand what exactly is on your network, right? There's so many different tools out there, but you really need to start with a tool that could help scan your environment to have an understanding of what's on your network and also what exactly is that doing. An example of this tool could be an assessment tool called Order, right? This is a software that runs multiple nodes on your network, and it's used to show you all of this on one dashboard, that single pane of glass. After you know what's on your network, you're going to have to actually secure your physical layer. What this probably means for you is you're going to need a proper firewall in place that's giving you access, exactly the access that you need on the outside world, but also preventing you from getting to things that you don't, right? After securing your physical layer, you're going to have to put each employee in its proper role, right? You don't want employee X to have to get into employee Y's bucket and vice versa unless they really need that accessibility. This can help segment your traffic properly. This can also be called your network access control, or NAC. Palo Alto is a company that was specifically known for just its firewall hardware many years ago, but now it's one of the industry leaders when it comes to OT AI-driven security. It provides you that single pane of glass that I've been talking about to monitor your traffic, understand your device behavior, and also leverage policies to protect your environment. In today's world, you need these fundamental tools to protect your environment and to prevent cyber hacking groups from infiltrating your system. The tools you will use will assist your security professionals to assess, transform, and have a faster response time.
I actually wanted to jump in really on what Benjamin said at the beginning, right? It kind of really ties how Benjamin introduced the tools and really getting into the implementation. But assessments are really the key factor here, right? We've helped clients assess what kind of environment they have, what kind of tools would fit, what are the best tools in terms of matching a capability of a tool with an actual issue and environment that a client's in. So, Benjamin brought up assessment a couple of points and a couple of times. I think I just want to really reiterate that really any of this tool selection and implementation really relies on understanding the client, understanding what kind of environment you're in, and what your real threat is based on the type of business you operate and what type of work that you do.
Yeah, and I think
Awesome.
There's extreme value to that, Pranav. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, great points all around, and great insight, Benjamin. Thanks, Pranav, for that response. And having said all that, Pranav, it sounds like we're still missing a step.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Christian. 100% correct. Again, the perfect tool may be great on paper, but when you start looking at it and seeing how does it really integrate with my organization? Does it have the correct pieces that fit with your organizational structure? Do you have the right governance, processes, policies in place that are really going to maximize the potential of that tool or tool set that you bring in? For example, an organizational structure that can't manage the tools is really gonna lead to reduced effectiveness. So not having the right personnel to maintain and manage them and keeping up to the latest versions. Governance, for example, really helps you to continuously evolve. So even if you've selected the right tool for your environment for your business, what's the new products out there? As quickly as we mentioned early on, that cyber attacks are changing. The tools that are coming out that are responding are also changing just as fast. So we need to make sure we have a good governance structure in place that's monitoring these tools, making sure that there's nothing newer in place that either could provide you some new capability or at worst case not really defending at that level that you thought you had.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you mentioned, org structure, governance, what have you. I think a big piece, think about, setting up for success is knowledge transfer. I know, across the board, knowledge transfer, change management has always been a key sticking point in the success of any project. But I know specifically when you think about cybersecurity, Pranav, I know, we had that one client where we, kind of came in at the end, where there was a tool implemented. From a project perspective, things went pretty well, but there was that heavy reliance on not only one specific subject matter expert, but someone that happened to be a contractor. And when unfortunately they were had to roll off prematurely, unexpectedly, it was a complete scramble trying to figure out not only how do we keep the tool up and running, but how do we quickly identify a resource to step into that role, all while this is a brand new implementation, still uneasiness and uncertainty in terms of functionality, what have you. So, lesson learned there in terms of having some redundancy, not relying on a single point of contact, and failure in terms of understanding the tools that you're implementing, because again, it can, in this case, could have completely derailed and ultimately ended in a failure in terms of the project. Even though we got through the implementation okay, it was that unfortunate role resource component that almost ended things poorly. So.
Right. Yeah, we saw it in this project, and even non-cybersecurity related, we've seen it in multiple occasions where we're not looking at this from a beyond the technology standpoint, right? So looking at it 3 steps ahead. Do we know how we'll handle the technology from a support standpoint, both on a technical and just providing user support as things are being rippled down. So one of the ways we've combated this is utilizing proper change management, right? To understand the impact to the people, making sure that we have succession planning from a technical skill set and management skill set level as well, so that as pieces change, where we've communicated to the right groups and stakeholders what the changes will be, so that we have a plan in place to get the right people trained. The knowledge is in a repository where folks can access it, and we have more than one person really trained on the critical components of running it, being able to read a report, being able to disseminate and analyze a report, right? Because we can get the greatest report if we don't know how to take that knowledge and really turn it into changes in our business process, changes in the way we do things to get the value out of it. That's also a downfall that we need to think through from the the beginning to the end, right? So again, it's about the full breadth of technology implementation, selecting that right tool, making sure we're installing it and implementing it so we're getting all the right features from a technical capability standpoint, but also making sure that we're able to use the data coming out and take the analysis from the cyber tools and being able to adjust our organization, adjust the way we do things to make the most benefit out of it.
Awesome. We've discussed a lot of points today, and I kind of want to open up the floor now. What haven't we talked about that you guys are wanting to share? What keeps you up at night? And I want to open it up to the floor. And I kind of want to start with Benjamin here. What are your kind of final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Christian. I think I come from more of the tech part of the industry, but my answer is actually going to go back to a little bit of what Pranav touched on earlier. And I think it's really the culture of the company when it pertains to cybersecurity, right? I think a lot of the time an initiative is taken on by maybe the technology department and the other groups aren't completely bought in, and they don't really understand on why we're approaching it this way. I think when it comes to really truly protecting a company's data, your privacy, the whole organization has to understand this importance. And this comes from proper training and conversations that can't just happen at that C-suite level. They need to come down and filter through your management, and they need to happen at our normal day-to-day operations. I think once this is done, then proper investment of time, money, these tools we're talking about, that can really help create that safe environment, that protective environment that we're talking about when it comes to cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll maybe just add a different insight. We talked a lot about different cyber attacks, but I guess what keeps me up at night is, there's always going to be a new cyber attack, being developed probably as we speak. We've heard, and I know we've published some content on zero-day threats, which many people have probably heard of, but those are unknown vulnerabilities in a software or hardware where there's no patch, there's no fix. You're essentially open, exposed, and unable to mitigate in a quick and timely fashion. So we know there's going to be more new buckets of cyber attacks, and I think just remembering that, as we talked about all the best practices with tool identification, what Benjamin and Pranav mentioned, you can go through all of that, and then you almost need to start right up and over in terms of the maintenance, and it's a constant process of evaluation of risks, evaluation of new and emerging tools to combat new and emerging cybersecurity risks. So unfortunately, my fear is the complacency if you go through, spend all the time and allocate the resources and spend obviously the money there. But really it needs to be part of your ongoing business practice of assessing, evaluating, again, new risks, because what you implement today may not be enough in 6 months, it may not be enough in a year, and definitely won't be enough in 3 years, as this is just, the landscape's changing too quickly. So again, that ties back to governance and ensuring that cybersecurity is top of mind for C-suite all the way down at an operational level, because unfortunately it's not going away anytime soon, and will likely just get more complex. So it's on all of us to continue to ensure that it is top of mind and has the right attention being placed on it.
Yeah, I think Benjamin really summed it up in 2 words: feel protected. All right. I mean, from an employee standpoint, an investor standpoint, a consumer standpoint, whatever business you're in, with this environment now, that's kind of the question everyone's asking. Do I feel protected sharing my information with you? Do I feel protected that as a consumer, as an employee, my information stays here and it's available, only to the correct people. So yeah, 100% agree with the feedback, Benjamin, you and Eric provided.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for those final thoughts. For our audience, if this is your first time listening in, be sure to check out our previous discussions on our YouTube channel at Sunipro, and be sure to look out for future episodes. As we draw to a close on today's Sunipro Roundtables episode, we've discussed cybersecurity trends and features, organizational structures, and technical setups essential for safeguarding businesses in the digital age. It's crucial to remember that by staying vigilant, adapting to evolving threats, and implementing robust strategies, businesses can better protect their digital assets and maintain resilience in the face of adversity. So we hope today's discussion has provided valuable insights and practical guidance for securing your organization's future in an increasingly interconnected world. Thank you for joining us on Sunipro Roundtables.